Hello and welcome to Partner Focus. I'm Kilian and joining me today is Jason Nelson from ePlus. Jason, how's it going today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Hope you
Excellent.
are.
I am doing well. Jason, can you tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about ePlus, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So I run the Southeast security business for ePlus
hmm
and as well as Southern Virginia. So ePlus is a national as well as global partner, and we have a core focus on security. Security is about 25% of our overall business of the much larger entity that is
hmm
ePlus. So a reseller consultancy firm and really focused on all four walls of the data center, from security to storage, networking, and then especially with the latest moves to the cloud.
hmm
So we're headquartered in Herndon, Virginia, but we have offices all across the United States as well as several offices globally.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Let's jump in right away. Let's just tackle the elephant in the room here. We've had the COVID stinks conversation for the last, whatever, 9 months or a year. I've lost track of time at this point. Um,
Yeah.
but, let's kind of get that out of the way. We all know that. We're all kind of in this situation now. Maybe we're turning the corner, hopefully. But let's focus on the now. Do you think, from talking with your customers and working with other technology partners, do you think we're ever going to go back to the office?
So I think it's a really interesting question, and,
hmm
and and absolutely everyone. It seems like every webinar or
Sure.
conference, which is all virtual now, immediately
Yeah.
starts with, oh well, COVID, 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 and
Right.
I think unfortunately we're getting to a little bit of nausea about that. But I,
Yeah.
I do think, for lack of a better way to say it, is going to be a new normal,
Yep.
and obviously the most and first most important thing is take care of your people.
Sure.
So we talk about whether they ever go back to the office.
hmm
Maybe they just stay full virtual, or maybe there's some middle ground of some co-work space you meet once a week, something like
Yeah.
that. But really the fundamental from a technology standpoint is, I think we have to prepare
Right.
that remote will be in some way or capacity be here potentially forever, at
Right.
least for the next year or so. So from a
Sure.
security perspective, that obviously creates a tremendous amount of challenges. No longer are people behind the corporate security stack
Right.
and security traditional perimeters, and now they're at Starbucks, coffee shop, and
Right.
then more often than not at their house.
hmm
So one of the biggest things that we've been focusing on is how are we addressing remote access? How are we
hmm
addressing always on, whether it's an always on VPN or
Right.
CASB or internet gateway type of conversation? And it's really created some interesting challenges and accelerated people's projects
hmm
where I think they would always talked about, what happens when someone goes home and how do we
Right.
protect that endpoint? Well, then all of a sudden people had to do it in a week's time or 2 weeks' time. And they
Right.
said, you're home now, you're not coming back to the office. How do we do patch management? How do
hmm
we do all of these core security components, foundations, with no, kind of central place to do it? So
Right.
it's been a really interesting time, over the last 9 months from
hmm
a security perspective. But I think it's all been a lot of it's been really sorely needed.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting things from being full remote is uh, I look at it as you have to make sure that you've got a couple core pillars in
hmm
control. So you have to make sure that you're controlling the endpoint. Is it
Sure.
secure? Is it patched? Is the internet filtered?
hmm
Because your users are still your biggest concern. And
Right.
then from a step forward is an identity and access management. How are you understanding who's accessing what? How are they getting it? Should
hmm
they be getting it? Which obviously then goes into the next conversation of,
hmm
where's your data? Who's controlling your
Right.
data? Who's accessing it? And obviously, that's a really strong component from the Varonis portfolio as well. But it's
Sure.
getting into those three pillars, and COVID and remote work has only accelerated the endpoint security, the identity and
Right.
access management, as well as the data visibility conversations.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, in terms of those conversations, how are you seeing your customers kind of make that decision, prioritize, kind of go through that as we're in 2021 now and we're looking forward for the rest of this year? How are they stacking that up to decide where they need to focus their attention on these pillars?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm actually kind of happy that we're finally saying it's 2021. I think I think
Yep,
I think everyone was really excited to put 2020 to bed.
absolutely.
But from a priority standpoint, it's been interesting because again,
Hmm.
people who had big perimeter projects or big data center projects,
Hmm.
all that kind of got flipped on its head.
Sure.
So from a data center infrastructure, we saw a lot of that be reprioritized towards the cloud because
Yep.
I need to be able to have my resources always available, easily accessible, things like that. Then from a security perspective, we're really seeing a prioritization towards um, stepping back
Hmm.
and understanding just because we've been doing things this certain way doesn't mean we should continue to do it that way.
Right.
So that really comes to with like access management is just
Hmm.
because we've always done it this way,
Sure.
is this the best resource?
Right.
And it's time consuming. Some people had to reduce staff. So how do I now work within this new normal?
Hmm.
Um, my core prioritization and conversation anytime I step into a client is, can you tell me where your data is?
Sure.
If in that question tends to get people's heads spinning because
Right.
it's one of two answers typically. The honest person says, nope, no clue, have no
Right.
idea. I think we've got some cloud. I think we've got some on-prem. It could be everywhere.
Sure.
And then the person who thinks they've got the handle on it says, yeah, I know it's all in this neat little database. You can't
Right.
touch it. No one accesses it. And
Hmm.
my statement is perfect. Let's see. Let's
Right.
have a conversation because to me, from a prioritization, there's nothing more sacred than your golden goose,
Right.
your databases, your proprietary information.
Yeah.
So to me, you start there, understanding where your data
Hmm.
is. Then you start with who. Then you step into who's accessing it,
Right.
and then you step into what are they accessing it on. So
Yeah.
all three of those pillars. But to me, it really security starts and stops with the data.
Yeah.
So if you can control the data, understanding who's accessing it,
Hmm.
then I'm not going to say everything else doesn't matter because certainly
Right.
other security controls matter. But if you control the data and make sure that you have a solid understanding of who's accessing it,
Hmm.
if you do have a security event, if they can't get it, or if it's encrypted, you've really greatly reduced your risk.
That makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree. That sounds like something that maybe we might say too. Very cool.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate you taking the time out today. I apologize for the weird light if anybody is watching notices that, but um, it's the first
it's
sunny day in
sunny.
a while. 2021, a sunny day. We're
That's
doing all right.
right.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking some time out to join me. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for watching today. If you enjoyed this content, please consider giving it maybe a like or leaving us a comment. We always appreciate those. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. And talk to you again soon, hopefully. Take care.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you.